Ask the what ifs, what if we'd done this different, or what if this call would, and I had to go through that process. Defensively, what could we have done differently on teams, on offense? So I'm past that part. We were going to play aggressive, that's how we got there, and we're going to go take our shot. Now, when I say I'm not over it, I don't think I'll ever get over it, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes that can fuel you into the offseason about the type of offseason you want to have.
New England trying to get there. Matt hit as he throws, it's loose, and New England says they have it, and they do at the 25.
Okay, let's say you're going to play these guys again.
Yep.
Give us a couple things that you do differently.
I learned that we can execute, but if you don't execute all the way through to the very end, it'll cost you.
Mm-hmm. Coach to coach here. Let me just do this.
Okay, I'm going to get...
How do you treat those guys, those second, third, and fourth, the guys that are on their first contracts,
Yep.
all right, the cheap guys,
Yep.
compared to your veteran kind of guys that are on their second or third contract, getting paid a lot of money?
Yep.
Is their off-season hours, their routine different, more weights, more what?
It depends on the player. So we wanted to make a real individualized plan for every guy in the team. So we told our staff on Monday, we have 47 days until the players report on April 17th or whatever that day is. And let's make sure we have the best plan they've ever had. And to know we're so in it for these guys that we want to help them get better. And it may be one or two things that we're going to ask you to improve upon. And that's what we're going to go for during that off season. The guys who are in years 5, 6, and 7, they're kind of right in the middle of it. How do we keep their skills really, really sharp? But the guys who are developing still, we're going to spend that time with them to make sure there's a part of their game that they're going to get better at.
Your GM said that there are not glaring holes on this roster. So where is your focus? You have obviously a lot of free agents.
Puts pressure on you. There's no holes, Dan.
Yeah, well...
no excuses.
Yeah. We're always going to look at the line of scrimmage, on both sides, offensive line, defensive line. How do we continue to add more speed to our group? I was telling a group earlier, we're opening a new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so we better be fast.
For a team that played in the Super Bowl, you've had a lot of changes to your coaching staff.
Yep.
Your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, just to name a couple. How do you keep that chemistry going, and how does that impact the players?
Well, number one, you don't like to see somebody leave, but I do recognize, they're taking a risk to go do something big, in the example of Kyle or Matt LaFleur. So for them, I'm pumped for it. It is a chance to us to regenerate some of the talent on our staff. And so guys we've promoted or guys we've brought in from outside. And over the next 3 months, how do we indoctrinate them into our cult, which is the Atlanta Falcons? And that, to me, is a really important part of the development, too.
So if I'm Nick Saban and he just lost Lane Kiffin, and now you call and say, I want Steve Sarkisian, how did that go?
Honestly, it was good because I worked with Nick down at the Dolphins, and he said, how you doing, man? We talked about the game first because they had lost, at the very end, too.
Yeah.
And they had played a lot of plays. And I said, okay, I'm not really calling about the game. And he said, hey, we all got to do what's best for our organization, so I understand. And he had really good things to say about Sark.
How did you get better in your second year? What did you learn that you can't learn as an assistant?
Yeah.
You had to be the head coach, right?
For sure.
And go through that.
Yep.
That bettered you for the second year.
Number one, the turnover margin. That part we totally improved upon. Now, how did that go from year one where we were in the negative to year two where we're in the double-digit plus? It took everybody to constantly talk about it and have the awareness for it and know, if I have this ball, I'm protecting it for everybody on this team. And we didn't have that first year. That was almost like that neighborhood to a brotherhood. That part of owning the football and going after it, that became real.